Welcome to lesson 2. We saw in the last video a demonstration of the application, and the very first lesson was an introduction. So this is number 2, and what we're going to do is look at the repo and readme file so we can set ourselves up. Once again, here is the repo and it's listed down below in the details of the video. So if we open up VS Code, we will sort of see here we have CSS, images, we have our 5 lessons on custom elements, the template, shadow DOM, CSS and events, or communication between components, or firing various fetch requests. And then 06 is the library, which has self-contained units, for example 01 DC show post. It has an index file and a show post, and if we right click on that and open with live server, we will see, let me just make this a little bit smaller, we will see that basically it displays it and we can see the functionality changing there. And then we have different types and we'll go through each of those later. But we have the demo site down here that basically has all these pages, and we've seen before this, if we go to this index and open this one up, we will see we'll get the main site. And what that does is for each of these components in the index, for example, it'll go into these subfolders for the appropriate custom element. So for example here for the show post, it will go into this show post folder, and that's it there. So you can either work with a folder on its own, or you can then see the complete site here. As we said before, we have our Word document here, so that has a lot more details. And what I'll also do is listed in the, if we look at the readme file, and better still, let's go into the GitHub repo itself, and we can see that. If we go into it, we click on here. If we click on down, there's lots of different information here, and there's a number of different links which we're going to have a look at. The first one being this introduction to web components, and if we just go straight into here, we can actually look at the latest browser support. This is October 2020. We can see it's supported in all the major green browsers, evergreen browsers, the ones that get updated nightly. There are also polyfills for older, very older versions if you so need them. And there's a lot of useful information here. If we go back into that repo, we can also see there's a custom elements everywhere, which is a website that tests how well each of the JavaScript frameworks works with web components. You can see the score here. All of them tend to be 100%. The only one that has a little bit of difficulty is React because of its different names, but it gives you some workarounds and explains how to do all that. But we can see all the different JavaScript frameworks that basically work with, that can work with web components. We have the Mozilla docs that go through a lot of this information. And also a very good one, of course, is the Google site that goes through all the different aspects of building web components. When you want to build web components, these are build tools, they're not frameworks. Stencil is based with the Ionic framework, and it can basically, it works with all of these. It produces web components that basically also have things like lazy loading, code splitting, efficient rendering, all of these different things. Hybrids is a version that doesn't use classes, just use pure functionalities, and there's a link to the article here. Lit HTML, the former Polymer project, that is another sort of kind of build tool that helps you kind of create web components more easily. And there's also a very good site called OpenWC, which has loads of examples and templates to help you through everything. If you're going here, developing, linting, guides and docs, lots of examples on Sandbox.io. Code examples, for example, we go here, it lists all of them, and this will go, for example, over to the Sandbox.io and develop it there, so you can play around with that. So there's lots of great tools, and I've listed the resources here. And so what we'll do in the next lesson is we'll start working on web components and how to build them from scratch.